Hey everyone, I wanted to go over a brief overview of what my business flow looks like previously, what it looks like now, and what it looks like in the past. I've started many tech companies involving an ISP, a Bitcoin provider, and also a server hosting company. So we'll kind of start right here at the beginning of this flow, and I've kind of organized this by year. You can see from 2016 when I first started, and then about 2022, which is right here. So we'll kind of start at the very beginning. First, you kind of really need a good idea. I mean, it doesn't really matter what your idea is, as long as you know there's a customer base and you know that you can sell your product, whether it's national, international, or even a local small business. That was my very first business was an internet service provider. The pros of that was it was a recurring revenue business, and customers relied on us every single month to provide service. So we were able to profit about $30 every single month, but our costs were $10 a month. The only kind of fallback with this business is that it was very regionalized. So, being part of an ISP, we could only sell our service within a small footprint or a small county or a state or a city. So, growing out of that footprint was there was a lot of cash flow involved in that. So, you kind of learn from your mistakes and take that onto your next business. But from that business, we gained a $1.5 million property, which is actually a cell tower, and then we also gained $150,000 from the sale of the business. So what we did is we took that into our next company, which is our parent company of three subsidiaries called Private Brands, and our thesis for that brand was privacy as a service. Right now, I mean, if you look at companies like Apple, a lot of their brand thesis is around privacy. If you look at Apple Wallet, Face ID, the Secure Enclave, all of those marketing gimmicks that they're using are focused around privacy, and that seems to be a very telling consumer pull right now for the market. So we kind of used that to our advantage, and we decided to make a new cell phone company. And then within that cell phone company, we called it Private Mobile, basically not selling your consumer data to advertisers and using that as our brand thesis or our brand image. Other competitors would be Mint Mobile, Net10, any of those MVNOs that they're classified as when you go to the supermarket like Walmart or Target. Um, so the good thing about this model is that there's no limit for anywhere in the U.S. that has our carrier, which is T-Mobile. As long as there's T-Mobile service there, we're basically reselling that coverage to the consumers under our brand name, which is Private Mobile. So our costs are about $6, which is less, but our profit's a little bit less as well, $12 per month. But this is for cell phones. You have a family of four, then it adds up pretty pretty quickly. So that's kind of why we focused on this. And our main idea was to outsource the entire business. So my goal is to start the business, start the thesis. That's it. I want everything else to run itself. I want every company that's running the business to run themselves. And then I also want those companies to communicate with each other. So we outsource fulfillment, so fulfillment of phones and SIM cards, outsource support, US support, and then fail over to India if we do need it, outsource billing, and then outsource the taxation on our billing platform. So that's basically the entire business model right there, fully outsourced. All we're doing is taking our revenue or our costs are split up. That $6 is just split up between, I don't even know where the sand came from. It's split up between all of these outsourced partners, and then we just pocket the rest. The other kind of unique thing about this business model is that T-Mobile gives us, or our aggregator gives us 30 days to pay our bill. So our customers pay for their phone bill, they get drop shipped the SIM card and the phone, and we have 30 days to pay our bill. So we're kind of net 30 days cash positive. And then the other unique thing about MVNOs is that they also have access to government subsidies, which is the emergency broadband and lifeline, meaning anyone who's on Social Security, they're in that low income bracket, on food stamps or anything like that. we can provide them with basically free phone service. What we do is we verify their social security number on our billing platform that's outsourced. And then once that's verified, it's verified through the government database, and then the customer gets sent a phone and they get sent a SIM card. And that's paid every single month by the government, and we get to pocket that difference. So that's kind of a guaranteed revenue no matter what, and that's a program that the government's been for probably the past 10 or 20 years or so. So it's something that we can always rely on. And the good thing about this business is that most comparably sell for about $500 per customer, times that by an average sale of 400,000 customers, and you get $200 million. So that kind of brings us into our next business, which is a credit card. I mean, when we first kind of started this, we were like, what is a good way to combine multiple privacy-related services into one ecosystem? Kind of like going back to the Apple again, where you have the iPhone and you have the Apple Watch. You're immersed in that ecosystem, and you're more likely to buy products from a company that's offering the same brand thesis to the same customer base. So we took that same idea, and I did the exact same thing: outsource everything. So when you start a fintech company, you can outsource your banking, BIN or BIN, same thing, to basically another bank that will host all of your paperwork that you need for having basically your own banking identification number, so that you're kind of like a small bank or a fintech that they call it. Same thing as well, outsource the app, which is basically the app that's on your iOS or Android device, outsource credit card fulfillment, and then basically just have a company print our logo on it, outsource support and billing to the same company that's doing the BIN. And then kind of the revenue model for credit cards is accruing interest on charges. Like, let's say every time you go to the store, and then you go to Walmart and you buy $100 worth of groceries, there's a 1 to 3% fee on that card, and then there's also a fee if you don't pay it on time. So we're trying to offer better rates than most cards are, but also allowing those privacy services that we mentioned earlier in private mobile, which is not selling data to advertisers. So our costs for that are about $20 a month, and our profit is about $60 a month. So credit card companies are pretty lucrative because they deal with money. I mean, that's pretty expected. And then if you look at the kind of the cost per sale, it's almost doubled from what an MVNO would be, a cell phone provider, about $1,000 per customer, times 400,000 customers would be about $400 million. So credit card companies are, I mean, yeah, now that's why most are doing well. I mean, look at J.P. Morgan, Chase, American Express. They're not losing money, that's for sure. So let's kind of scroll down. This is our third company. This is an add-on company called Private Connect, which is a VPN service, kind of like NordVPN, OpenVPN, or any of those other ads you see on YouTube or other services. Those companies will white label those services, and we can white label that for ourselves. So we just use their same apps, their same VPN servers, everything. We slap our logo on the top of it, outsource all that to them. We pay them $1 per customer, and then we charge $5, so 5x. While private mobile is about 2x, this is about 3x for private pay, and this is 5x, but the dollar amount's smaller. And it's not a widely used service. While people do use it, it's not everyone wants it like they would want a credit card or cell phone service. And that's where I kind of go over bundling that. So the great thing about having ecosystems, let's say we want to offer a deal. Okay, you're a private mobile customer. Let's offer you our credit card, and let's also offer you our VPN all in one package. So we get the customer paying for 3 of our services. So these VPN services usually sell for about $100 per customer. Times that by 400,000 customers, that's $40 million, and that's not too bad for the year 2024. So let's kind of take that on to my next business that I've been working on, which is a quantum company. You can see that the combined asset cash flow of all 3 of those companies are about $640 million. And if I kind of want to go into the meaning of what this is, I mean, look at anyone. Look at Elon Musk. What did he do? He started PayPal, and then he sold that to start his next company. So that's kind of what my idea is here. Take that cash flow, start a quantum company, which is a lot more lucrative because it's new, it's innovative, it's kind of It's kind of on the edge. I mean, everyone knows that it's coming, but no one really knows the full use cases for it. So, but if you study the use cases for it, you realize that this is kind of the end all um, startup, or really probably the last startup that's ever going to be invented, because once quantum is done, the world won't be the same way. I'd say that because it'll solve a lot of problems like studying markets, studying economies, studying sociology, studying governments, allowing um, new things to emerge like artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of interesting things that quantum will solve, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. So my idea for this, patent the algorithm, which we've already done, and then the second step would get that algorithm peer reviewed. So that's kind of the back end stuff. This is kind of what your entire valuation of your business is on. If you don't have an algorithm or you don't have a patent, you can't really base your valuation off of anything. So that kind of goes on to our other step, which is the physical part. So it's actually securing the facility. So we've secured a research and development facility that's actually lead shielded, which you need to run quantum computers because of cosmic radiation interfering with the way that simulations are run on those computers. So we secured that and secured the patent. Those are kind of the first two steps. Once we have all the equipment in the facility, we'll give a tour to the media, which is a good way to stir up interest and a good way to get the word out for your startup. And then once that information is kind of released to the public, we can start acquiring talent in quantum AI systems. Because there's a lot of times people won't know about your company until you've talked about it somewhere else. Once we have the talent, bring the company public, and then that kind of brings the fun start. This is when all the fun stuff starts happening. This is Imagine this kind of the start of your last exit, like I would like to call it. This would be in 2030, so a little bit down the road, but you have plenty of time to kind of fill in these blue gaps and fill in whatever else, what are the other steps that you need to do between now and then. So my kind of idea for this new thesis, for quantum in specific, is to do an algorithm for artificial general intelligence, get that patented, and then the exit would be to sell those services to businesses. Imagine kind of like how Adobe does like a service for their software or their patents. Kind of the same idea as that. And the other use case for quantum would be neuroscience. I mean, the great thing about quantum computers is they can also mimic um, basically the way that neurons activate in your brain. So our goal is to kind of mimic those on a quantum computer. And then that would be, we could sell those services to medical and then use those as a patent for that. And then our third thesis would be producing simulations of universes, cellular life, anything that we can mimic on a quantum computer, we can mimic in the real world. And this is kind of taking the AWS model, kind of like Amazon Web Services, where you'll lease time on the servers, and then you just pay by data, you pay by usage, and then pay whatever your output is. So we can lease that or sell that to science and education, and the combined output of these is 6.4 billion, and that's when you're estimating about in 2032, this may be smaller, maybe bigger, I don't know, but the what we do know is that quantum is a multi-trillion-dollar business, so this is a very small chunk of that. Whoever reaches it first, whoever fills in more of these blue boxes first, gets a bigger green bubble at the end, and then whatever you do with this is whatever you want to do. Maybe you do what Elon Musk does and buy Twitter or something, but I don't know. You can figure out that. So this is kind of an overview of the next, 10 years, I would say. So take with this what you want, or take what you want to learn from this and use it for however you feel fit. This is kind of where we are right now. So thanks for watching it, and if you have any questions, I'll leave my email in the description, so feel free to reach out anytime.